hard to compete with breakfast, so I'll try to make this as short as possible. The rabbi said it's an honor. I can't think of a nicer place to daven, a place where all the boys are davening together, and I was an 8th grade Rebbe for 30 years. I wish that my class would daven the way you boys daven, and the way you boys were so quiet like Rosh Hashanah. It's a Shechina Shruya Bo. When it's quiet like that and it's such a davening, you know that Hashem is in the room. So I just want to talk a little bit for a couple of minutes about last week's parasha. For last week's parasha, Yaakov Avinu had a dream. And in his dream there was a ladder. And it says the malachim were going up and down. So the first question is, do you really think, anyone in this room, think that angels go up a ladder? They're not firemen. You think that there's a ladder and angels are going up and down a ladder? If anything, maybe there's a road to Shemayim. Maybe there are steps to Shemayim. But a ladder is a very narrow thing. And there are thousands and maybe millions of angels that go up and down every day. All the angels of our prayers. So why did Hashem put in his dream a ladder? And the rabbis say that a ladder is the only thing that whether you're going up the ladder or you're going down the ladder, you're always looking up. Think about it. There's a ladder, firemen, right? They're going up the ladder. You get to the top floor. When they come out, they don't walk down the ladder face down. They fall off the ladder. They climb down the ladder. And as they're climbing down the ladder, they're looking up. And in the dream, it says, Hashem Nitzav Olav. Hashem said, I'm on the top of the ladder. So the reason, the symbol of the ladder in Yaakov's dream was whether you're going up or whether you're going down. Because Hashem knew that now Yaakov Avinu was going to Lavan, Rachel was going to die very young, Yosef was going to be sold, Dinah was going to be hurt, Yaakov was going to Mitzrayim. Wasn't really an up the ladder time. So Hashem wanted to show Yaakov, don't worry. Don't worry, boys. Whether you're doing well, whether you're struggling. As long as you're on the ladder, you can always look up. And Hashem is always on top of the ladder. Alright, recess. So, there's a very unbelievable medrash. It's called the Medrash Tanchuma. And the Medrash Tanchuma, Apashas Vayetze, tell us something which is very hard to understand. And it says the following. It says that Yaakov saw that the guardian angel, the Tsar of Bavel, went up the ladder in his dream. And he counted that this angel of Bavel went up 70 steps, which represented the 70 years that we were in Galus. And then just threw him off the ladder. Goodbye, Bavel, have a good day. And there was no net underneath to catch him, like in the circus. Then, Madai, the Persian Empire, went up the ladder. And Yaakov saw him climb 50 steps. Then Hashem took him, threw him off the ladder. Then, Yavan, which is coming up, Hanukkah, the Greeks Empire, climbed up 100 steps. And Hashem threw him off the ladder. And the last one to go climbing up the steps was Edom, was Esau. And in his dream, he couldn't count. It went up very high. He couldn't count how high Esau went up. And he didn't see him get thrown off the ladder. Then his Yare Yaakov, he became very scared. He said, uh-oh, everyone else he threw off the ladder, but Esau he didn't throw off the ladder, which means that us, the Jews, will be under Esau forever. No Mashiach, forever we're going to be in their galus. And this Yorei Ma'ori became very scared. And that's why it says, Hashem said, Al Tira Avi Yaakov, don't worry. And Hashem told him in the dream that if Esau goes all the way to the top, if he makes a nest in the stars, Hashem said, I will personally take him and throw him off the ladder, because Kachaya, it says that Yaakov in his dream saw Esav get thrown off the ladder. 2 lines, listen carefully. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, Lama einat ha'oileh. Yaakov, get on the ladder. Why aren't you getting on the ladder? When this Isai Shah and Yaakov, he became very scared and he said, Kishem sheyesh le'elu yerida, just like you threw off all these 4 angels off the ladder, kach ani yesh li yerida, one day you're going to throw me off the ladder. So Yaakov said something that a lot of boys in this room understand. I would rather not try and fail. I'd rather not try at all. I'd rather not get on the ladder and get thrown off. I don't want to get on the ladder at all. And Hashem, many of us, think that way. We don't want to. We don't want to be the chassid. The chassid, both of them this morning were amazing. They were fantastic. They weren't scared. But there are certain boys that maybe I don't know if I can do that. Maybe I'm going to say a word that's not going to be right. Everyone's going to laugh at me. So I'm not going to do it ever. I'm not going to do it at all. Meanwhile, he doesn't realize Hashem gave him the most beautiful voice. He's supposed to become a big, big chassid. But he doesn't get on the ladder because he's scared of failure. So Hashem said to him, Amalai Kadosh Baruch Hu, Im ata oleh, if you get on the ladder, I promise you, Ein lecha yerida, I won't throw you off. Says the Medrash Tanchuma that Yaakov turned to Hashem and said, V'loi hamin v'loi Allah, I don't believe you, I'm not getting on the ladder. And everybody asked, how can you say to Hashem, I don't believe you? Hashem said, I won't throw you off. And Yaakov said, I don't believe you, I'm not getting on the ladder. And Chazal answered this Medrash and they say, it's not that he didn't believe Hashem. He said, I don't believe that my children are going to be so good that they're not going to sin and there won't be a reason for you to throw them off the ladder. So even though you're promising me this, I know better that my children, I cannot believe that in 2014 in Chicago there's going to be a minion like this. So Yaakov said, I'm not going to even try. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said the following, which is a lesson to all of us. Hashem said, Ilu alisa ve'amata, had you got on the ladder and believed in me, you would have never even stepped 1 step down the ladder. And why am I telling you this medrash? So Lahavdol Elef Alfei Abdullah, there was a very good hockey player, a superstar. His name was Wayne Gretzky. Played for Edmonton. Wayne Gretzky got up once and he made a statement. And the statement he made was, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you don't take the shot, it can't go in. You got to get on the ladder. You got to take the chance. And that's what Hashem said to Yaakov Avinu. I guarantee you, and I promise you, that any Jewish kid that gets on that ladder, I will never throw him off. He may struggle, he may be struggling with learning, he may be struggling with mitzvot, but if you don't get on the ladder, you're going to miss 100% of the shots. So I'm trying to tell you a very fast story. The story is about a king. We'll end with this. You say it over at the Shabbos table. The story is about a king who had a very beautiful daughter, 1 child. And he wanted to make a shidduch for her. She should get married. But all the young men in the kingdom wanted to marry her. She was beautiful. She was rich. She was a princess. So 1,000 guys showed up and said, want to marry the princess. And the king said, I don't know which one of you is the best shidduch. So he said, I'm going to do something. I'm going to build a tower with 1,000 steps, huge steps. And tonight when the sun sets, all you guys are going to race up the steps to the tower. I'm going to put the princess in the tower. First guy up gets the princess. But by sunrise, if you're not up there, you get nothing. You have 10 hours to get the princess. But once the sun rises, race is over. And it doesn't matter if you're on the 99th step. You get nothing. So, all the guys got online. All right, waiting. Sun goes down, they all start running up. But not everybody's in good shape. Some guys are 200-300 pounds. And by the time they got to the 100th step, they couldn't breathe anymore. But they didn't want to tell anybody that they're out of shape, so they started a rumor. And they said, you know, I think the king is making a joke. First of all, these steps are huge. Second of all, who says the princess is in the tower? She's probably not in the tower, and he's just going to be sitting there in the morning with all his friends, watching a bunch of guys stuck on the steps. I don't even believe this whole story. And the rumor started to go around, and all the guys that were out of shape who knew they couldn't make it said, yeah, nah, the whole thing is a joke. And everybody started running down. With 1 hour left to sunrise, there were 2 guys left on the steps. And they were on the 700th step. And they both realized, you can't do 300 steps in 1 hour. So one of them turned to his friend and he said, we have only 1 hour. There's no way we're going to get to the top. Maybe all these guys were right. There's no princess, because the king knew you can't do 1,000 steps in 10 hours. It's a setup. And the king's going to be sitting there in an hour with all his friends, plus all the guys that were on the steps, laughing. Look at those 2 fools stuck up on the 800th step. Look at those 2 guys. They really thought they were going to make it. He said, I am running down as fast as I can. When the sun rises, I will not be on the steps. I'm not going to let anyone make fun of me. And his friend looked at him and he said, but we worked so hard. We got to the 700th step. Now you want to turn around? He says, yeah, because can we make it? No. So let's get out of here. So this friend turned to his friend who wanted to run down and he said, but I have to tell you something I didn't tell you till now. I know the king. I used to work for him for 6 years. I worked in his palace. He is not a comedian. He doesn't make jokes. And every promise he ever made in all those years I worked for him, he kept. There's no way that this is a joke. His friend said, yeah, but we ran as fast as we could in the 300 steps, and now there's only 45 minutes left. I'm out of here. And he starts to run down the steps. And the other guy turns and he says, I don't understand. I have 45 minutes, 300 steps. It's not going to happen. But if the king said it could, then it definitely could. And I'm going to go as much as I can. And if the sun comes up and I'm on the 800th step and I didn't make it, at least I tried my hardest. Boys, he takes the next step on the 701st step. He steps down. Boom! It's a trigger. The steps open up. And there's an elevator. He's like, elevator? On the 701st step? This is cool. Steps into the elevator. There's flowers and candles and a bottle of wine. And one button. Okay? Button says PR. He pushes the button, it must be princess. He pushes the button and this elevator starts zipping up. At exactly 1 minute to sunrise, the door's open. And he steps out. And there is a door in the top of the tower. And he turns to open the door. And as he turns to open the door, he looks down. And as he's going to walk into this tower, his friend, who was 45 minutes ago on the same step as him, is stepping off the last step on the bottom of all the steps. And he screams down to his friend, I told you! Elevator! And his friend's all the way down at the bottom, all he hears is, Urgh! So he doesn't even look up. I guess my friend realized that he's stuck probably on the 750th step. Urgh. And this guy walks in, and they're sitting on the most beautiful throne, the most beautiful princess he's ever seen in his life. And she says to him, thank you so much for not giving up. Because my father told me that if nobody makes it up to the top, he will never marry me off. Thank you so much for stepping on the 701st step. And she says, by the way, I'd like to introduce you to someone. Want to introduce me to someone? She goes, yes. And she points to the throne next to her. And sitting on the throne next to her is her twin sister. Looks exactly like her. The king never told them that if two guys make it to the top, at the same time, they won't have to cut the princess in half. But there's another princess. And he turns around, and he runs to the door, and he yells down to his friend who turned around, twin sister! The sound goes all the way to the bottom, and he hears, "Arr!" What a story. I'll tell you why. Because I know boys who in the 8th grade were on the same step. And in the 7th grade, they were on the same step. And in the 6th grade, they were on the same step, two friends. And then much later on in life, one of them I met, he's sitting and learning, and he's from, and he's unbelievable. And the other boy, he doesn't even keep Shabbos. And I'm like, what happened? They were in my 8th grade, they were the same. One took the next step and caught the elevator. One turned around and walked down the steps. Why? Why did one of my boys take the next step and the other one turned around and stepped off totally? And the answer is this story. Because one of my boys knew the king and worked for the king and knew that the king, when he makes a promise, he keeps it. And knew that the king is not here to cause pain or to make jokes. So when he went through hard times, he knew that there's another step and there's going to be an elevator. Sooner or later, there's going to be an elevator. The princess in the story, boys, is the Torah. And Hashem went to all the nations and said, do you want the Torah? And they said, what's in that Torah? We don't believe it's anything. We don't believe it's life. We don't believe it's good. And they turned around and walked away. But Klal Yisrael, the Jewish nation, said, Na'aseh v'nishma. Na'aseh, I will take the next step. I will take the next step. And we will see what will happen. And the princess, who's the Torah, said, if the Jewish nation would not have taken the next step, and they would have given up, then nobody would have married me. Nobody would have ever taken the Torah. So the lesson of the ladder in Yaakov's dream, boys, and the lesson of this story is you got to take the next step. You got to take the chance. You got to get on the ladder. 100% of the shots you don't take, you will miss. But Hashem guarantees us all, I will never throw you off the ladder. I will always let the Jewish nation be on the ladder, whether it's Eilim, V'Yardim, but Hashem Nitzav Olav, Hashem will always be there to hold us and to watch us and to keep us. Bezrat Hashem, we should be Zechariah that next year, Rabbi Wallerstein should come to your beautiful minyan in Yerushalayim. Thank you very much. Shabbos.